Welcome to part 3 of fasting for beginners. If you've been following along since part 1, by now you should have a string of fasts under your belt, right? Long fasts, short fasts, or a combination of both. No matter what the length, you've been recording them to be mindful of your fasting periods, right? Good. Now, if you haven't, rewatch part 1 and come back when you become consistent. This isn't about who can fast the longest, but who can fast no matter the length, refeed, and go again. We will eventually get to lengthening your fasts. We'll actually do that for a little bit here. Right now, I just want you to focus on fasting consistently, or even better yet, fasting imperfectly consistent. Even though I know that there are some people here who will not accept it, they don't want to believe it, shorter fasts are just as important as longer ones. In fact, these shorter fasts play a really critical role in between your longer fasts. So if you are that person who just keeps throwing away these shorter fasts and then just starting over, you are in for a really bad cycle. Think about all the times you have tried for a long fast and then you were unable to push another one, and instead you did a shorter fast, but that shorter fast wasn't good enough for you, and then you threw away the day. You said, what's the point? I'm just gonna eat whatever, I'm gonna start again tomorrow, and then try to push a really long fast. And then maybe that next day it doesn't go as planned, throwing away the day again. And then you're cycling and cycling and cycling. And instead of learning that during a short fast, that really should now ramp up the other levers in your weight loss plan. And by that, I mean, okay, you didn't fast as long. Here comes the refeed part, the importance of maybe keeping your refeed short this time, eating better, exercising more. But for you, that's not good enough, right? Because you need to fast for as long as possible and nothing else matters in between. And I'm going to remind you that it does. All of this matters. All of this makes a difference. Think about the consistency in just doing short fasts, but still working on all your other levers. Because eventually, when you are doing shorter fasts, when you hit your goal weight, you're going to have to eat more often. You are going to have to fix the nutrition part. You are going to have to fix the exercise part. All of these come into play. And if you can fix that now, even better. In part 2, we've gone over what to drink. And today for part 3, we're not going to talk about what to eat exactly, but rather how we pay attention to our refeeds. Because for many of us, the amount of time that we actually eat for, our eating window, our refeeding window, can be equally as important as how long we fast for. Just like you time your fasts, you should be timing your refeeds as well. From the moment you eat your first bite of food to the moment you swallow your last bite, log that shit down. Why? Because if you're like me, and let's say I'm completing a 65-hour fast and I end up having a 12-hour refeed, I am going to do damage. If you know me by now, you've seen me put down 5,000-6,000 calories in a matter of 2 or 3 hours. If you find yourself losing control of the amount of food that you're eating after a fast, the volume of food that you're consuming during a refeed, start paying attention to how long you are actually refeeding for. I have to remind people that timing your refeeds might not be for everybody, and that's okay. I know there are a lot of people who don't think that timing their fasts makes a difference, but for me, I really feel like that's my accountability. That's my control. Just one of my pieces or building blocks of accountability. But so is timing my refeeds. If you're somebody that can refeed and control the volume of food that they're eating, then maybe this isn't as big or as crucial as it is for me. But I know that if I let my refeeds go for as long as I want, there is so much control that is lost. And so I always have to be on the clock when I am on my refeeds. But let's say you're also plateauing and you're having a hard time and you're not understanding why you aren't losing weight, why you're not getting the results that you're looking for. Maybe it would be really good to start tracking that data and see if there's a correlation between that and the plateau or the hurdle that you're facing. This is no different than when somebody says, I'm just gonna have a tablespoon of peanut butter. And then they take the tablespoon, they just dig it into the jar of peanut butter and pull out way more than a tablespoon. And that happens because you are losing accountability. You are not being honest with what you are truly doing. And so in that respect, I think it can still be really beneficial even for people who might have better control. I know for me though, I have to be on the clock when it comes to fasting, and I have to be on the clock when it comes to feasting. If your goal is to lose excess body fat, then you shouldn't just be thinking about how long you can fast for, but also how short your refeeds should be. Keeping your refeed times down should help you stick to more nutritious foods. Now, I'm not saying that you can't eat certain foods. I'm not restricting you in any type of way whatsoever, but you and I both know, and if you haven't, pro tip here, foods that are high in protein and dietary fiber are a lot more satiating than a bag of Doritos or a package or a couple sleeves of Oreos. Think about it like this. The less time you're refeeding means means the more time you're fasting. The less time you're refeeding means the less time you're spiking your body's insulin. And when your body's insulin is spiked, your body stops burning stored fat. But just like fasting, don't beat yourself up if you end up having a refeed that goes longer than normal. When I started my journey, my refeeds were somewhere around 3 to 4 hours. Today, they're somewhere around 6. I've noticed when I eat anything past that, I'll actually start to gain weight. And I think it's just because I'm eating just for the sake of eating. I think one of the biggest things that I have noticed with the analytics that I have been recording for the last 14 plus months is the fact that yes, even though I fast for long periods of time and I will lose weight if I fast for a certain amount of time, I've started to notice that even on the lengths of my fast, like my 65-hour fast where I will slowly lose weight, if I keep the duration of my refeeds more than 6 hours, I have actually gained weight during that time. And that's only something that I've noticed by actually breaking down, digging down into my recorded fasts and my recorded refeeds. But I understand that keeping your refeeds short isn't for everyone either, and it is also something that you can get burnt out on. Just like fasting for long periods of time and people experiencing burnout, you can experience that same burnout with really short refeeds. Sometimes it might just feel anxiety inducing to have that kind of pressure of like, oh my God, I have to just make sure I eat in this 2-hour period. And so I want to remind you that it doesn't have to be like this every time. Part of doing something consistent, part of doing something that can be sustainably done, you still have to have mental relief. It still has to feel okay. It still has to feel like it isn't torture every single day. So please keep that in mind as you're continuing your journey. This is no different than the imperfect consistency when it comes to fasting. Refeeding plays the same part. Your diet plays the same part. The exercise plays the same part. Your sleep plays the same part. None of this has to be perfect day in, day out, by the minute, by the whatever. All I'm asking from anyone who's watching this is to just show up, be imperfectly consistent, and just make sure that you are being honest with yourself. Fast, feast, repeat. Fast, feast, repeat. Before you know it, you'll be fasting longer, feasting shorter, and dropping weight on the scale. If you're looking for additional help when it comes to fasting, weight loss, or accountability, check the link in my profile, bio, or description for one-on-one coaching. I'll see you in the next one.